Christmas has come early thanks to the wizards over at DJI. In this stocking stuffer of an update, we get HDR video for better dynamic range, Rocksteady Plus for better stabilization, enhanced image quality for extending highlights and shadows, a narrow option for a more punched-in field of view, OTG or USB on the go for connecting Android devices for file transfer. For the multicam shooters, timecode has been added for syncing up multiple cameras or audio devices. And for your inner colorist and the one that everyone's been waiting for, 10-bit color. These are all great additions, but not without their limitations. So let's go through them together and see what we got. Also, after you update, you will have to reset all of your settings and custom functions. Let's start with HDR video. This feature is accessible in the quick switch menu between video and slow-mo and is easily the best feature of this update. All right, man, look at that color. Oh my God, and it's right at sunset. I knew there'd be a lot of different colored tones in the sky. So this is HDR video, 1080p, 24 frames per second. We're in regular Rocksteady and standard D-warp. My dog sees something. Say hey, Snoop. I mean, there's some nice magentas and blues in the sky behind me. I mean, really, that HDR is nice. I'm not big on color grading, but I do like more specs. I mean, specs are good, but you know, I think the HDR is worth the update alone. All the other features, they have their limitations, but that HDR really does make a huge difference. Unfortunately, at the time of recording this, we've been going through a lot of winter storms and rain and haven't had a blue sky or puffy clouds in days. Just gray skies and dreary weather. So to make up for it, here's a picture of a baby tree frog. His name is Anthony Hopkins, and he is my friend. Next is enhanced image quality, and we're not going to spend a ton of time on this because I have yet to see a difference between it and HDR video, except for the fact that HDR is available in 4K and EIO is limited to 2.7K. DJI claims that it enhances the video frame by frame, which makes sense for the increased power consumption. I can definitely tell there's a little bit of sharpening and maybe saturation and contrast as well. Personally, I think HDR is the way to go between the two. If you find yourself needing to get a tighter shot, you can now punch in with a narrow field of view. This is a 26mm full frame equivalent, but is not available in 4K or HDR. I understand wanting to get a tighter shot, but sometimes these action cams can look a lot like, well, you know, an action cam. So by punching in is a very subtle way to make it seem like it's a different angle or different camera altogether. Just keep in mind that it's a digital zoom on an already small sensor, so any less than ideal lighting is a surefire way to get less desirable footage. But this narrow field of view is the only way we could get this next feature, Rocksteady Plus. Alright, so this is Rocksteady Plus in 1080p, 24 FPS, 10-bit decine-like, and walking at a pretty good pace. So, I mean, well, you can see in the frame how much I'm moving. So the stabilization is pretty good. But the reason I chose to do this right now is because it's almost dark. We're in a low light scenario, and with it cropping in on that 12 megapixel sensor, I just feel like it's going to be a lot of image degradation because it is only 12 megapixels. Rocksteady 3.0 is good. There never really was a time where I said I need more stabe. But also I've never been flying down the side of a mountain on a bicycle either, so I'm sure it has its use cases. Rocksteady Plus is essentially just taking that narrow field of view and placing it across all the field of view options. It's taking what was essentially a 10 and 11 millimeter equivalent in wide and ultra wide and punching into a 17 millimeter equivalent, and this includes standard D-warp. Again, that is a significant crop on a 12 millimeter sensor. Oh, and in HDR and Rocksteady Plus, no matter what field of view you choose, it's a 17 millimeter equivalent. On-the-go USB is a convenient way to dump your footage in the field to your Android device. I've never had to do it, but I could see it being useful for shorts creators. Just make sure you're using a PD cable when you do it. that charger you bought from the dollar store will not suffice. When you connect your USB cable, you'll be greeted with two options: file transfer or webcam. And speaking of webcam and shorts creators, vertical video is now supported as a webcam. And lastly, the update that was promised since the Action 3's release, 10-bit color. This is particularly exciting for all the colorists out there. 10-bit will provide better dynamic range and better transitions between colors. There are plenty of people out there that dive deep into color grading. I've just never been one of them. I've never color graded anything in my life. Personally, I believe HDR is reason enough to get the update. These cameras have come a long way, and the banding's not near as bad as the original. Really, the only time I ever saw banding was in clear blue skies with an open horizon. For 99% of its users, HDR would be more than enough detail to get great footage. The Action 3 is a powerful and affordable camera that fits right in your pocket. Well, that's going to do it for this one. I just wanted to run over a few of the features in the newest firmware update. Let me know in the comments, have you updated? Do you enjoy the 10-bit color? Are you more into the HDR? Do you notice a difference with enhanced image quality? Or do you even use the narrow field of view? You know, all those things are good features. I just don't know if I'll use them. But I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. If you found it helpful, hit the like button. If you're into this kind of content, hit that sub. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace.